Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the Monday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings for Week 16. This Week 16 Monday night game, we got a pretty good game between the Packers and the Vikings. I know this game has a lot of playoff implications in mind. I'm pretty sure whichever team wins this game is going to be the league leader in the division. So this has some pretty big playoff implications. Definitely should be a fun game to watch. Pretty close spread here. Right now the Vikings are favored by 5.5 at home with a 47 total. So we'll talk through this showdown slate, talk about all the viable plays, the guys that I like the most. We'll look at snap counts from the previous weeks. Maybe if we can find some cheapish guys that are getting opportunity that we could take a shot on. I'll try and touch on that as well. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. If you have enjoyed these showdown videos, I think this is going to be my last showdown video for the regular season because I don't think there's a Thursday night game or a Sunday night game or a Monday night game next week. Pretty sure all the games in Week 17 are all on Sunday. So this will be my last showdown video for the regular season. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed these. I've tried to get them up as much as possible, pretty much for every Monday night and Thursday night game. And then at the beginning of the season, I was making videos for the Sunday night showdowns as well. But definitely have enjoyed playing these showdown slates. I usually don't play for too much volume on these. They're just kind of like for fun. I just play for fun, have something to sweat while I watch the game. So we'll talk through this showdown slate. Just before we do get started, guys, like I said, drop a like, subscribe if you are new. If you have not subscribed yet, I would appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. You can also follow me on Twitter, link down below at DFS by Noah. And if you have not yet, you can check out my Patreon, link down below as well. Patreon.com/DFS by Noah. I do provide a lot of NBA content over there Monday through Friday. I post NBA content. And then on the weekends, I get up stuff for the NFL slates as well. If you do join the Patreon by Christmas, so you have about 3 days, if you join by Christmas, you will be invited to our $100 free roll contest that I will be running on the Christmas Day NBA slate. You'll have a chance to win $100 if you are a Patreon subscriber. So check out all the stuff I have over there. See what's available. Check out the packages I have. Just kind of see what works best for you. Each package I have will tell you what you get access to. And I do have packages that give you both NBA and NFL combined. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be providing Patreon content for the playoff slates. That'll just kind of be a wait and see. I think I'm going to, but it's not set in stone yet. But let's go ahead and look at the player pool for today. We'll start off at the top. We'll start off with the quarterbacks, then we'll look at the running backs, receivers, and so on. So with the quarterbacks, we got Aaron Rodgers at 10,400, and we got Kirk Cousins at 10,200. I mean, both quarterbacks are firmly in play in this game for me. I think if I had to choose one, I would side with Aaron Rodgers here. I just feel he's the much more talented quarterback. I think he just gives you more upside. I know, like, Cousins, at least for fantasy lately, has actually been better than Rodgers. Cousins has been much better as of late than he was at the beginning of the season. He's been throwing a lot more. You can definitely beat this Green Bay team through the ground game, so I'd probably side with Rodgers here. I don't see Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams having a lot of success against this Minnesota team. They do have a pretty solid run defense, so I do prefer to go to Rodgers as one of my quarterbacks. Usually I want to play at least one quarterback in every lineup. Rarely do we see the winning lineup on showdown slates not have at least one quarterback in it. So if I can only choose one, I'll probably side with Rodgers, but I think both quarterbacks are firmly in play for me on this showdown slate. With the running backs, we definitely need to talk about the Vikings situation. So we already know as of Sunday night that Dalvin Cook is going to be out. We'll have to wait and see on Monday when actives and inactives come out if Alexander Madison's going to play. He's questionable heading into this game. He's a game-time decision. I don't think he practiced at all. I think he got one limited practice in. If I had to guess, I would say he most likely does not play in this game, and we're going to see a lot of Mike Boone, who I think is going to be the number one running back regardless. Even if Madison plays, there's a chance he's limited and doesn't get a lot of opportunity either. So looking at the Vikings running backs, I think it's definitely Mike Boone we need to talk about. He's going to be the focal number one back here. This guy's shown upside when he's gotten the opportunity. I mean, he got 13 carries last week against the Chargers, 56 rushing yards. He did get 2 rushing touchdowns. They don't really use him in the passing game. At least he hasn't been used in the passing game when he's been on the field. Plus, DraftKings priced him up to $9K. I like the matchup against Green Bay, but with his price up to $9K, I don't think he's a top play on this showdown slate. And honestly, I don't think I'm really going to be going to any of the Vikings running backs. especially if Madison's able to play, then it's just going to be like a real, probably like committee they're going to have with Madison, Boone. They'll use AMEER Abdullah as well. They'll even involve CJ Ham a little bit. Like, I just don't think there's going to be one clear guy that gets all the volume. I think we're going to see multiple guys involved, especially if like Minnesota gets behind and has to throw some. We could see a lot of AMEER Abdullah if they use him in the passing game. So it's pretty hard to tell like how these Vikings running backs are going to do. It's probably in a void for me. And really, I don't like any of the running backs in this game. Like, I don't love the running backs on the Green Bay side either. Aaron Jones, tough matchup against this Vikings run defense. We know he's going to get a lot of volume. I mean, 13 carries last week for 51 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Against Washington, 16 carries, 134 rushing yards and a touchdown. He got 7 targets in that game as well. His targets have definitely been like up and down this season. I know when Davante Adams wasn't healthy, Aaron Jones was being used a lot in the passing game. Lately, it's just been up and down. Like, he didn't get any targets against the Bears last week, which is concerning. Plus, he's $10,800. He's one of the more expensive players on this Showdown slate. I think I'm going to be really focused in on the passing game just in this game. So, like Davante Adams, Stefon Diggs, Adam Thielen. I think these are the guys I probably like the most on this Showdown slate. If I'm going to take a shot on a running back, it would probably be AMEER Abdullah, especially like if the Vikings get behind and they have to throw. Like, I don't expect them to use Mike Boone a ton in the passing game. So Abdullah is really cheap, $2,200. Even, like, I still expect him to get some touches regardless, though, even if they are playing from ahead. Abdullah will still be involved. We're going to see multiple guys get touches. It's not just going to be one guy getting all the volume like it has been with Dalvin Cook. I think with Cook out, you're just going to see them use a lot of different guys. So it's really hard to predict which guy to go to. If I had to take a shot on one, it'd probably be Abdullah just because he's so cheap, $2,200. Plus, we're really lacking value on this Showdown slate. There's no cheap plays that really stand out that I think give you a ton of upside. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at the running backs. Now the receivers, I love Davante Adams here at 11-4. He's definitely one of my favorite plays on this Showdown slate. Against this Vikings team that has struggled in terms of pass defense, like Xavier Rhodes just hasn't been nearly as good of a corner this season as he has been in previous seasons. Definitely a good matchup for Adams. I could see him having a lot of success here. We know he's going to get a ton of volume. I mean, pretty much double-digit targets every week. We know Aaron Rodgers is going to force feed him the ball. So I like Adams a ton. I think these Green Bay or these Minnesota receivers are underpriced as well. Like Diggs is only $9,600. Thielen's only $8,600. I think both these guys have plenty of upside for their salaries. I imagine that Jair Alexander will be on probably Stefon Diggs because I think Adam Thielen will play in the slot when both Diggs and Thielen are healthy. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I do expect Alexander probably is on Diggs, which could open up for a better matchup for Thielen. Both guys I still want to target, though, just because without Dalvin Cook, I think Minnesota probably throws the ball a little bit more than they normally would. So you got Diggs and Thielen both a little bit too cheap, in my opinion, especially for a one-game Showdown slate. Like, I would much rather play Diggs and Thielen over someone like Mike Boone or Mattinson. I think just Diggs and Thielen give you so much upside for their salaries. And then you have, like, the tight ends you could take a shot on. You do have Kyle Rudolph for $6,400. I don't love Rudolph at this salary, especially now that Thielen's healthy. Like, we saw Rudolph was almost scoring a touchdown like every week when Thielen was when he was inactive. Those like 3 or 4 weeks. Now with Thielen healthy, like Thielen and Diggs are going to be the two primary beneficiaries in the passing game. They're going to be the two main focal points. So don't love Rudolph at his salary. Allen Lazard, I'm fine taking a shot on. He's been playing a good amount of snaps recently. If we look at the snaps just from Week 15, Lazard did play on 78% of the snaps. He only got 3 targets. It's obviously hard to project this guy for a lot of targets just because we know Rodgers looks to Davante Adams the most, and that's the guy that projects for the most volume. But Lazard could easily get probably 4 to 6 targets here. Maybe he catches a deep ball, can beat a receiver deep. $5,400, especially on a Showdown slate where we really are lacking value. I think Lazard at $5,400 makes plenty of sense. I don't really love the defenses in this game. Probably won't be going to the defenses, but I'm definitely fine taking the kickers. Usually only want to play one kicker. Like, I wouldn't want to play 2 kickers in my lineup. I'm fine using the kickers on this Showdown slate just because we don't really have any great value. Like, all the value under 4K is like Jimmy Graham, Irv Smith, Geronimo Allison. Like, these just aren't guys you feel very confident in. I mean, Jimmy Graham he's always a threat for a touchdown just because he's a big body, but like he just has not been that great this season for fantasy. It's hard to it's hard to have a lot of confidence in him. He's really only getting 3 to 5 targets a week. $3,200, I mean, he's cheap, but like I'd probably just play Irv Smith for a little bit cheaper. Irv Smith's been on the field a decent amount just in terms of snap percentage. last week in Week 15, Irv Smith did play on 65% of the snaps. I mean, he's been 85, 70, 65% of the snaps the last 3 weeks. There's definitely potential for him. I mean, it seems like he's locked into 3 to 4 targets every week. He could definitely get maybe 5 to 6 targets here. 3K, really looking for value. Definitely like Irv Smith if you want to take a shot on him. Geronimo Allison, I'm not a big fan of. Like these Packers receivers are really hard to trust, really hard to predict. If we just look at their snap percentage, you had Adams obviously playing on a ton of the snaps, 93%. Lazard on 78% last week. Allison, 54% of the snaps. Jake Kumaro played on 19%. Marquez Valdes-Scantling played on 12%. Like, it's just really hard to trust these guys. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them scores a touchdown and, like, you kind of need them to, like, win a GPP or something. But honestly, if I'm going to take someone this cheap under 4K, I'd probably play the kickers, or I'd play Irv Smith at 3K, or take a shot on Abdullah. That's kind of where I'd be looking to the most. Really hard to trust the Vikings receivers as well, not named Thielen and Johnson, like not named Thielen and Diggs, excuse me. Johnson's really hard to trust now that Thielen and Diggs are both healthy. Like, I mean, last week he did score a touchdown, but it was on 1 target, 1 catch. Like, it's hard to predict, or he scored a touchdown the week before that, and that was on 1 target, 1 catch. Like, it's just really hard to predict him for a lot of volume. I really, don't love any of the value on this showdown slate. It's really bad. Like, none of these plays you feel great about under 4K. So, if you want to get some of the studs on this showdown slate, you're probably going to have to play one of the kickers, and then you're probably going to have to play someone like Irv Smith or AMEER Abdullah as well. I mean, Valdes-Scantling's only playing on 15, 20% of the snaps. He's really hard to trust, even though he's $800. Yeah, there's really nothing I like for cheap on this showdown slate. So I think we covered the player pool. Let's definitely talk about some roster builds. See if we can build out maybe some lineups with some studs in them, like what it forces us to do. So if I'm only playing one lineup, I probably want to get Davante Adams at captain. He's one of my favorite plays on this showdown slate. I think he has the most upside out of anybody. And if I'm playing Adams at captain, I want to pair him with with his quarterback. That's how I like to construct my lineups. So in lineups where I have Adams at captain, definitely want to have Aaron Rodgers in those lineups. If we just plug Adams and Rodgers, that leaves us 56.25 remaining per player. So we're going to need to get some value. You can go to one of the kickers. I'd probably prefer the kicker that has the higher team total. So right now the Vikings have the higher team total, so I'll take the Vikings kicker for 4K. Now we got 61.66 remaining per player. So if we want to get someone like maybe Cousins or Diggs or Thielen, I really like at his salary, $8,600. Let's plug him in there. Now we got 49.50 remaining per player for 2 spots. So we could maybe get someone like Lazard. If we went with Lazard, that will leave us 4,500. So then we could play another kicker, but I usually don't want to do that. I don't think we'd be able to get up to Diggs or Boone. Maybe Rudolph we could play. If we plug in Rudolph, that leaves us 3,500, and then we could take a shot on someone like Jimmy Graham or Irv Smith. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to have Irv Smith and Rudolph in the same lineup, but this showdown slate really lacks with value, so I mean, I'm just fine doing it just to make the lineup fit. But you could plug in Jimmy Graham there. That's definitely a lineup build you could do. I mean, it's really, you don't feel great about any lineup builds you make on this showdown slate, especially if you're trying to pay up at captain. It just really thins you out on salary, and there's no value that you really feel good about. You could go with a cheaper captain, though, someone like Thielen, which I think makes plenty of sense. Probably want to have Cousins in those lineups. Maybe since we went with a cheaper captain in Thielen, we might be able to get Adams and Rodgers in there. Now we got 25.50 remaining per player, so yeah, we probably wouldn't be able to do that. Maybe we could take out Rodgers, though. Play a cheap kicker, so play maybe Dan Bailey at 4K. And now we got 57.50 remaining per player. Let's see what we could do with these last 2 spots. Diggs, if we put Diggs in there, we'd have enough to play Geronimo Allison, which, I mean, if you want to do that, you could. Or actually, we wouldn't have enough to play Geronimo Allison. We'd have enough to play Johnson, though, but probably wouldn't want to go that route. If we plug in Boone at 9K, that would leave us enough to play AMEER Abdullah, but I probably wouldn't want to have Abdullah and Boone in the same lineup. That just feels like really bad correlation. Plugging in Rudolph leaves us 5,100, so then we have enough to play one of the defenses, but man, this showdown slate, God, it's really bad. I just don't like any of the value. I love the studs. I love Thielen. I love Diggs. I love Adams, but I love these guys, but then I can't really get them all into my lineup because I'm having to play Jimmy Graham and Irv Smith and Geronimo Allison, who I just have no confidence in at all. But that's just those are just kind of the sacrifices you have to make on a one-game showdown slate when you have a limited player pool. You might have to play 2 kickers in the same lineup, which I never like to do, but with how bad the value is, I mean, if it makes your lineup work, it makes your lineup work. It's possible that both kickers outscore all the guys under here. Like, we could see both kickers put up 10 DraftKings points, and like they score more than Jimmy Graham. Like, none of these guys under the kickers get more than 10 DK points. So it's kind of how I'm looking to approach this Showdown slate. It's a really gross one. I'll be definitely playing light on this Showdown slate. I at least want to get some volume, though. I usually play a couple lineups in the big $10 tournament. Just give me a little sweat while I watch the game. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully these Showdown videos have been entertaining to you and you have enjoyed them throughout the regular season. I'll still be putting up NFL content for the main slate, and I'll still be making NFL content, or I'll still have YouTube videos up during the playoffs as well. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to put up Patreon content for the playoffs. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll still be making NBA videos pretty much Monday through Friday as well. I'll try and get some videos up on the weekends too. But good luck on this Showdown slate, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.